Is there much justice in the world? Do you trust an American court nowadays with some of the decisions they're making? Do you trust a British court with the decisions they're making? What is a court? What is law? It's the interpretation of words which were written a long time ago. How can different judges come to different conclusions based on the same law? Why does the lawyer you hire even matter if the law is fair? Well, I think that when you understand the world, you understand that nothing in life is certain that involves people. We can talk about one of the highest courts of the land, the ICJ. What is law? Like what's being done about what's happening over there? Very little. So if you've ever been in a judicial process, you sit and understand that innocent and guilty is certainly part of it, but there's also a bunch of other factors, especially once you get to a certain level of fame, when you become so well known that your verdict will ripple around the world and it will cause consequence for nations. Then you have to sit and say, okay, whether I'm found innocent or guilty is going to affect nations. It's going to affect how justice systems are perceived internationally. Does that mean they're 100% interested in what's true and what's false and what's fair and what's not? Or is there a narrative being played behind where they sit and say, well, perhaps he didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to look bad if we say he didn't, so let's just put him in jail.
I'll get onto some of those points in a moment, but you've got civil court issues as well, accusers, and you've countersued. What would you hope to achieve with that?
What happens when you reach a certain level of fame is that, and anybody who's been fortunate enough to move from the lowest echelons to the highest echelons will learn that anybody they've ever interacted with in their life is going to come along wanting some degree of money or help. And that's fine. But there's also a bunch of people who are bitter, who you perhaps knew in your past, who want to try and benefit off of your fame, and that's what happens. And this is not unique. This is not an experience that only I am going through. I think you can name nearly any famous man in the world and he has some form of civil charge against him for something that happened 20 years ago that he doesn't even remember, that probably didn't happen at all because somebody wants to finance their life off the back of you. This is just human nature. I should get them back. What is law? What is court? What is a judge? What is fair? God is the only judge. And I truthfully have forgotten about all of them. I think it's around 15 million euros of cars, gold, watches, etc. I don't consider them mine anymore. I've forgotten about all of them. There's very little in this life you truly own besides your heart and your soul and your state of mind. I think those are the only things you can own. You can put me in jail, but I'll own my state of mind. I'll smile just the same. That's my decision. You can't take it from me. And everything else they can take from you, because unless you have enough guns to defend it, and you'll never have more guns than the state, it can be taken. You don't own houses, you don't own cars, you don't own anything else. And if you annoy the government, they're going to prove that to you. Well, absolutely. I think that, in fact, I don't think it contradicts. In fact, I think it complements perfectly, because when you work hard to be the best version of yourself so you can protect and provide for the people you care about, you're pleasing God. And you do that so that you can wake up and show him the beauty of his own creation. I can be the best version of me. I can make the people around me have the best possible lives. I'm not going to sit and be lazy or not try. And I believe that's all about building your character. It's not even about the money. It's about being the best version of yourself. If all the money in the world was taken from me, that's fine, because I'm still been a person who's worked very hard, been very diligent, who's very intelligent, who can make it all back. And I've also enjoyed this journey of life, which has brought me here with the good and the bad. And I think the greatest sin a man can commit in the world today is being a fraction of what he could be. I think that's the biggest sin you can commit in the face of the Creator. It's a good question. I think jail is just a hyper-condensed version of life. As a man, you have to show other people respect, otherwise violence will happen very quickly. It's the same out here in the real world, but in jail it's condensed, it's pressurized. You have to have mental control, you have to have control of your own mind out here in the real world, or you'll get depressed. Jail is the same, it's pressurized. So as long as you're good at life, you'll be good at jail. And I've never been a bully, I've never been an abrasive or aggressive person. I know how to respect people and make sure that I'm respected. And all in all, I don't think it taught me anything new, it just confirmed everything I knew about the realities of being human. It's interesting because the UK has requested my extradition on some ancient charges from 2012. The warrant doesn't have any names, it doesn't have any locations, it doesn't even have any specific times, it only has a year. Quite interesting. I think the world is waking up to these tactics now, and I think the world is understanding that if you upset powerful people, they come at you with charges exactly like this. And I'm not the only one. We can name other people that has happened to. We can name somebody who's in Belmarsh right now because of it. So it's very common. It's actually quite scary, I think, that governments will come along and tell men at home to respect the rule of law. But sir, as a male, they could say to you in 2011, We won't tell you who. We won't tell you where. We won't tell you exactly when. We won't tell you exactly what happened. You committed assault. You must come here and go to court. That's pretty scary because none of it makes any sense. What is refreshing is I will get a jury trial and people are awakened to this garbage now because this has been happening for too long. And also, I will not be looking at going to the UK for at least 5 to 6 years, at least, because I have to finish all my Romanian proceedings. So this is on the later base for now, and I'll handle it when the time comes. I'm very good at just dealing with things when the time comes. That's who I am. And truthfully, I'll be very honest. I mean, not to goad the authorities in any way, I'm not scared of jail. Nobody believes it. A guilty verdict will not make anybody believe it. Everybody knows it's a matrix attack, and I have no problems going to jail. So it's God's plan, and if I get a little holiday, then I'll take my holiday. I don't think I'm public enemy number one anymore. At one point, I was public enemy number one. Now I'm probably public enemy number 11. And the old story goes, you don't have to be the fastest person when you're outrunning the bear. You just have to be faster than the slowest guy. I feel like I'm getting there now. But those are the 3 stages. When you say things that upset power, they try and cancel you. They delete your access to speak. They delete all your access to social media. Because your ability to speak freely is directly correlated with your insignificance. They allow you to say whatever you want if nobody listens. People start listening, then you have to be careful what you say. So the whole free speech thing is garbage anyway. So they cut that off. If that doesn't work, then they'll find a reason to put you in jail, which they did with me. Somebody told them, find something. They made up garbage, and I'm not the only person it's happened to. And if that continues to fail, then yeah, they will do it. Well, I don't operate in the realm of fear. I genuinely don't operate in the realm of fear. I have absolutely no fear of going to jail in Romania. Boring. I have no fear at all. I know I'm innocent. The world knows I'm innocent. Everybody knows this is a matrix attack. The idea that, and I can prove it's a matrix attack. I can prove it because would ancient charges from 13 years ago be trumped up and tried to press against me if I wasn't famous, if I was a normal person? Well, of course not. It's because I'm famous and they're trying to prove a point. They're trying to damage my influence. They're trying to damage my reach. The girls or whoever these people are, if they exist at all, want money. All of this is happening purely because of my fame. If my fame was in the hands of the establishment, if I was working for the MSM, like these other people who work for the BBC who've been caught being sexual predators, well, then it wouldn't be on the news. They're only doing it against me because I'm against the establishment. The whole thing's a matrix attack. It's all made up. And when you ask me on my deathbed, whether it's in jail or it's out here in freedom, are you glad you didn't sell your soul and fought against power for what you knew was right, even though they put you in jail? My answer is going to be yes, of course. I don't care about a big house and a bunch of cars. That can be taken from me anyway. But I care about looking in the mirror and knowing I am the man I said I was. So I'm going to say what I believe. And if they want to put me in jail for it, then they can put me in jail. It's very interesting, this whole legal system, the whole legal process. It is very interesting because, like I said, you stand before a judge and you said, my mother's had a heart attack. Can I go see my mother? Here's the papers. She's had a heart attack. She might die. I haven't been able to leave this country for a year and a half. Can I go see my mother? The judge will look at you and go, and it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what to say beyond that. It's a very interesting scenario to be in. And this is where we go down to what's law, what's real. Because there's a lot of judges who just say, yes, that's perfectly legal. There's a bunch of judges who say, no, it's not legal. You have one lawyer who says, this is illegal, they can't do this. Another lawyer says they're not supposed to do it, they do it all the time to get away with it. All of it is just words. And when you look at it, it's not just the legal system. You start to understand this entire world is just people walking into rooms and saying things. Government are just people walking in a room and saying stuff. The education system is just people walking in a room and saying things. The legal system, the medical system, just a bunch of people chit-chatting. So how it all plays out, I don't know. I think it's very clear that this world is run on deception. I think it's very clear that there are power structures which are designed to enslave the minds of people so they'll continue to allow their bodies to be enslaved. I think it's very clear that there's people who can't afford to eat anymore and inflation's out of control and the standard of living is declining and crime is off the charts. And they just try very hard to pretend that's not true with their various mechanisms of control. And powerful people have always wanted to exert control. And when I fight against or resist these things, I want the world to understand that I don't even take it personally. Even though they've put me in jail, I don't take it personally. I have 110 people who work for me. If one of them was particularly troublesome and disagreed with everything I said and didn't listen to me, I'd fire him. So if you run a country and you come along with your lies and your narratives because you want to profit or you believe it benefits you geopolitically, and you want to sit there and lie to the population, and the population believes it, and then there's this one guy, this top G guy, who's saying, no, this is a lie, and everyone's starting to pay attention to him, well, then you're going to do something about it. Anyone who doesn't understand that's how the world works must live in some fairy tale land. That's how the world works, and I've upset very powerful people by telling the truth about very important things.